Hello and welcome back to You Can Play Europa Universalis IV, the beginner's guide that spends 5 to 10 minutes and explains one basic concept of Europa Universalis IV, so you can dive in and feel like you've got a handle on the game. Usually 5 to 10 minutes. Last episode I got a little long-winded, so I want to cover something and dive right in that's a little shorter this time so we can stay in that hopefully a tight 5. We'll see how it goes. I want to talk Monarch Points because we've talked a little bit about these in some of our previous episodes. Just touched on them. Certainly when we were talking about development, a big part of that was your Monarch Points and the relationship to growing development. But we haven't really hit these, and they're about as important to the game as you can possibly get. While money is your pure currency of the game, honestly, I think these Monarch Points are even more so, right? They're the things that you're going to hoard and have precious and spend all the time and have to make probably some of the most interesting choices in the game about. So, primarily, how do you make these power points? At its base, every country gets 3 per month. It's very fundamental, basic, no modifiers, no nothing. You get 3 per month. The biggest influence to the increase of that, as we mentioned in the first episode, is the skill level of your ruler. So our skill level, our Sultan Mahmed II, has 6 additional points he adds to the administrative power. He has 4 additional points that he adds to diplomatic power, and he adds 6 more to military power. So right now, if you had no other modifiers going on, essentially, with this ruler and your base 3, 3, 3, you would get 9 and 7 and 9 per month, which is very, very, very good. Now, you can see that the actual numbers are different. So there's a couple of other things going on. First of all, advisors. We will get into a separate episode, probably the next episode, on advisors. But this number right here, the skill level of the advisor, adds another point, depending on admin, diplo, or military. The more it adds, the more expensive that advisor is. In addition, you can select a focus to choose. So right now, you see this check mark here. It means that we are taking 1 point from each of these and adding that to our military power. So let's add that up and see if it makes sense. All right, so base 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 1 is 10, but we are taking 1 power from admin by clicking this little button right here, this national focus button, and moving it here, so it's a minus 1 to 9. I'm going to unclick this just so it's a little simpler to understand. And now you can see by taking away any particular focus, nothing is getting any removed. It's a 10, 8, 10. So 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10. 4 plus 3 plus 1 is 8, and so on and so forth. What do you spend these on? Well, primarily technology. Above all else, this is how you advance your technology. And it costs a certain amount, usually a base around 600 per month, depending on how advanced your nation is. And we'll get into institutions as well, which can be a huge modifier there. But around 600 is enough to get your next technology as long as you're not ahead of time. Meaning that it's going to cost a lot more if you want to research something that you shouldn't know about for another 10 or 20 years. So, you can see here, like we have 929 military power. When we click this button, that will drop down to 300, but we got this new military technology, same with admin. So these technologies we'll dive into a little more as well in the future. Another major thing you'll spend them on is ideas. So when you have a bunch of power in the bank and you have access to some of these ideas, and this is a big menu, we'll get to it later, but this is another thing that you can sort of a secondary mode for technology. There are a few last things that you will spend these powers on. So administrative is most commonly, when you're not using it for technology, you might use it to boost your stability. Stability is an important number that it's over here, that we will cover, but you see here right now at 0 stability, nothing happens. But if we boost it, we spend 100 administrative power, but as a result, we're getting lots of bonuses. Unrest has gone down, missionary strength has gone up, and so forth. You can also use it to adjust your economy. If your inflation goes up, you can use admin power to drop that. Diplo power is primarily used in trade and diplomacy, or not trade and diplomacy, trade and cultures. So if you have, for example, assume we take over a lot of Serbian land, the amount of our population that is Serbian will go up, and we will need to adopt their culture or promote that culture. But often you will also spend it to do things like promote mercantilism, which is a good way to grow sort of a permanent boost to your trade. Military primarily will be used to hire generals. So if you're not using it for the other kind of trade things or other research technology things, you can hire a general. As you can see here, it costs 50 to recruit, and you can recruit a new general, which we'll get into generals at a later date as well. There's still a lot of stuff to cover. In addition, if you had some unrest and some potential rebels dropped, you can spend military power to quell those. The other thing that Monarch points are going to be used for, both as a reduction and as an increase, is events. There are all kinds of events in this game that will require you spend 50 Diplo power to get something, or to prevent something from happening, or you get 100 admin power because, a good event fired. Those pop up all the time. And so it becomes a real balancing act, because how are you going to manage your power against what you want to accomplish, right? What technological advancements you have, or, what bonuses you have to your economy or your troops or your ability to influence other nations. Those are all going to be choices that you make throughout. But keep an eye on these. These are perhaps the most powerful numbers in the game. And of course, as we talked about before, you can also spend any of them to upgrade your development in a given province. So that's a quick look at Monarch points and the basics of how to use them and what they're used for. And we will get into, probably next time, we'll dive a little bit more into advisors and talk about how they help advance the game, along with what their impact to Monarch points is. Anyway, until next time, my name is Sean Sands, and you can play EU4. It's fine. Go do it. Have fun. See you next time.